Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
We are here to talk about Chrono Cross, specifically the Radical Dreamers Edition.
Very
which
excited
is
for you.
the remastered version. Why are you very excited for me?
I just think it sounds like a weird JRPG, and I feel like the last few
Oh, it is.
JRPGs you've been playing, you've been like, they're mostly okay, and then you're like kind of like sort of trying to convince me to this. But from what we talked about, it sounded like you were actually pretty excited about this one.
I mean, they're all good.
Okay. All JRPGs are good.
For the most part. There's a couple bad ones. But so this is a remaster in the lightest sense of the word. It is the game from like 1990 something. Just put on Switch. There's not much else going on here. You've got the normal square. Click the stick to make the game go faster. Click the stick to make the to give yourself all infinite, basically battle points or whatever, so that you can win through everything. You've got the skip random encounters, which doesn't really have, but be able to run past the enemies on the map. So that's really the only new thing here. It does have the text adventure. I did not do that just because I got like a half or maybe like 15 minutes and it was like, I'm good. So we're really just talking about essentially what is Chrono Cross from like 1998.
Yeah.
That's basically this. It's just
Is it
now
not
on
even?
Switch.
Is it not even though like I mean like with the Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy VII remasters, they at least like they looked better and stuff. But like I've heard this one like kind of still runs like crap too. It's like really strange.
It has a couple of funky points, but they
Okay.
did do some like updates to it. I'm being very probably disingenuous. There's definitely some like HD models and scaling and stuff like that going on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not like mind blowing when you see this. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this isn't what it would look like on
Sure.
PlayStation 1, but I could see I couldn't, yeah. So this is a weird ass game in a lot of ways. It ditches a lot of things that normal JRPGs have from this time period. If you're just kind of in the Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and that is your JRPG point of reference from the PlayStation era, this ditches a lot of things. It very much feels like Square was like, you know what? Just try some shit and see how it goes. Because a lot of things that they do here are very unique, and it's kind of like swinging for the fences. Some things work, some things don't. To start with, kind of the thing that I think really works well is it has a very interesting battle system. It is turn-based battles with about 800 different menus and gauges and everything else going on that works really well. So your characters have stamina, right? Which is basically you get 7 points of stamina. And then as you use that, you can go negative if you do like a big attack. But as you use that to attack and build up things. You have no traditional MP. So when you start a battle, you start with 7 stamina, 0 MP. Your MP only goes up to, I don't remember where you start at, but by the end of the game, you can get up to level 8. But every time you land an attack, you get, it's called, what's it called? It's basically an MP point, but you get 1. So one attack will do like a little bit of damage, give you 1 MP, and use 1 stamina. It's very hard to explain.
No. I understand what you're saying, but like to me, that tells me that every single battle I play is going to start with my whole party just doing their first attack. Like you never have a. Okay, but then like it seems like you could even say the second one would almost be the exact like every.
So again, it's very interesting. So when you go to make an attack, you don't just do an attack. You have 3 levels in attack. You have a light attack, a medium attack, and a heavy attack.
Jesus. Okay.
Your light attack takes 1 stamina and gives you 1 magic point.
Okay.
Your middle does 2, your heavy does 3. So essentially what you normally do is you normally try and do like I normally ended up going, because I got my hit points up, where I would go like for my first round you would go 2 2 3 would be your first round. So you build magic for your character's first turn. That normally got them pretty full up, because that gets you to 7 if all those attack lands. If the attack misses, you get no magic point. You just wasted your stamina. You don't gain your magic points.
Oh, that's 7 across the whole party. That's not per person.
No, per character.
Oh my god. Okay. This is fun, right?
No, it's cool. It's very cool. It's one of those things where like I did like the first initial battle. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And then 2 hours, I'm like, okay, no, this is fun. This is unique. This is interesting. But what that means is that your characters then, like, you kind of have to have a balance of attack and everything else, because everything's then percentage based. So, like, if you're swinging and missing all the time, that's doing nothing. So there are some characters where it's like you just go 1 1 1 1 1 because really you're just trying to get them through that round to build up their magic points so that you can use those on your next turn to do like a level 7 attack. It's it's very interesting, lots of strategy, and I think that's what kind of pulled me through this because we'll talk story maybe in a little bit, but the story never really grabbed me until closer to the end. But the battle system was just so much fun to play through, and as you're gaining like, okay, now I get 6, and ooh, and now I have a level 7 magic attack, ooh, and now I have a level 8, and this character handles slightly different than this character. So I felt like it took me a good 10 hours out of my 20-ish that I played took me to get to the end. The first 10 just felt like I was really learning the intricacies of the battle system, and then there was like those 5 hours like, okay, I got this now, this is fun, like I'm understanding like the role of everything and how everything plays together.
So it's not just unique for that era, it's just unique for JRPGs in general.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I think just it didn't stick. Nothing came out of this. I don't think this game had like made that huge impact like some other JRPGs did, so I think a lot of it just kind of got left there. The cool thing about this, and this like blew my mind the first time it happened, is because those energy points never carry over, those MP points, they never carry over.
Yeah.
At the end, you get the option to heal your party. So it just puts up a tagline. It's like, that gives you an option of like, use remaining magic to heal party with cool magic elements. Or, because your items also use those MP points, use consumable magic to heal party. So
consumable magic?
Well, potions. This is what they call potions.
Sure.
Consumable.
Okay,
they're called elements in the game. So elements are items and magic.
But yeah,
because
why would I just use healing spells every time though? Like, why would I just heal up with?
Because like if your character didn't end with energy, or if you don't have any,
gotcha,
you don't have it. So like at points when you're going through these dungeons, it almost is good to end with like a full magic gauge because then you're able to instantly heal your whole party when you're done.
Oh, weird.
So there's lots of weird little like intricate strategies that pop up in this because the battle system is just kind of all over. But it gets to this weird point where like as you're going through and you're getting closer to a boss in a dungeon, like the best strategy to heal your party is just to like go back and fight a weak enemy really quick, build up your magic, and then like, okay, and now we can go to the boss because now cool. I have full health from that. So lots of just weird little things going on in there. There's this wacky color system what works like your normal like fire, water. That's
sure.
I'm gonna be honest, I still don't completely understand exactly how some of the color stuff works, so we're just gonna leave that to the side for right now. But again, it's weird stuff. The party doesn't level in like a normal way. Like you just have a generic party level, and like randomly after certain numbers of battles, and I never really figured out the exact system for this, it'll just be like, oh yeah, like this character gained 1 HP, this character gained 1 plus magic, and it's just completely random as you're going through. There's no real way.
So you can swap out party members as you need then, because like since nobody has a level, it's just they just go
to
whatever that's kind of fun. That's kind of fun though, because I always hated the thing where you like invest in certain characters. You're like, I don't even know if this guy is good, sort of thing. Yeah, so is it worth investing in this character or not? But so it does. So it seems like you can swap characters out as needed or as much as you want.
Yes, so that actually brings us to the next issue, to the issue that this game tries that doesn't work well. So you get so many characters, you get dozens and dozens of characters. By the end, I don't remember, I feel like I was around 30 characters by the time I got there, but the issue that this creates is that you never feel that party bond that you do in a lot of other games where, oh yeah, these 6 people are really making it through these adventures, because it's really just the couple people you've got with you at the time. Toss out a line here or two, and that's it. There's no character interaction. There's nothing outside of the 3 or 4 main characters.
But does that make sense in like the context of it? It's like you're collecting like, because there's games like Suikoden where like you're collecting an army of 100 people. So like, does it make sense in the context you're collecting so many people, or is it just kind of watered down? Like you're saying, it just waters it down.
It's very watered down. It very much just feels like this felt like a cool idea. What if we had a JRPG with 100 available characters?
Sure.
And it's just like, fine. I guess that's cool, but it definitely does hit the story a little hard because you never get that big feeling of like, this is a bond, this is a group that has some bonds, this is a group that has one central task. It just becomes kind of like oh yeah, we tagged along because you helped me with my boat and now I'm here with you.
And now I'm
here. I served no point past this point. Like one of the characters that I got early on, I just kind of got in the habit of using and had him pretty much spec'd out the way I wanted and just kind of kept him in the party, and literally serves no purpose after like the first like 2 hours of the game. He's like is completely irrelevant.
There's like
the
no
rest of the
story
game.
relevance to that character anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess
just-
the question, because I play a little bit of Chrono Trigger, is that because you're swapping through like universes or time, and then it's like you just leave their place, and it's like, well, that's their story, and then they're kind of done. Because that's how Chrono Trigger was sort of set up, where you go to like the past, and then once the past was done, you'd pull this one character forward, or you like went to the future and you pull this one character forward.
So-
is that why?
No.
Oh, okay.
It really feels like it has no justification outside of like, this is a cool idea. So the way the story works is basically you wake up, you're here, you're doing your normal thing, and then you end up transported to another world, is just what it's called. You've got homeworld and another world, and you travel between these two dimensions. The dimension you go to, you find out that your character died 10 years earlier. So
cool.
you randomly like stumble in this dimension, you go home and they're like, who the hell are you? You walk into your house, you're like, who the hell are these people in my house? You finally talk to somebody like, oh, you're that dude? Like, you died 10 years ago. Your grave's up there. Like, and they're like, well, maybe I should go visit my grave. And that's kind of like
weird.
where the story kicks
Does
off.
anybody like know you from like they're like, oh my god, it's you. You should be dead.
No, because like you died when you were like a kid.
Oh,
so
okay.
like
Of course.
because you're like I would put my money on like 15 in this game. So like you died when you were like 5 in the other world. So like you mention your name once or twice, like, no, dude, like, what are you talking about? You died like 10 years ago. This is nonsense. What are you doing?
So you're not like meeting your parents or something like that. And they're like, oh my god, our baby.
No, like it's very much disconnected from that. What the story really starts to get into is, why did this happen? What does this different dimensions actually mean for different things? How do I get back? Why does this dimension exist? All of those types of things. And actually, you brought up Chrono Trigger. I've never played any of Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
It's just one of those JRPGs I just never wanted to spend $200 at this point to get on DS, and I don't like playing games on my phone.
Fair.
So tough luck for me. But this is a very much a direct sequel to that game in a whole lot of ways that I learned about halfway through, when it basically explained the plot of Chrono Trigger to me, like ending and all. So it's like I feel like I could probably give you a good story walkthrough for Chrono Trigger with how much this addresses that. There are connections between the bosses, with characters, with the way the world works, with how the world of Chrono Cross is developed from the world of Chrono Trigger. They all kind of blend together to make up what Chrono Cross is. In the end, the ending gets really interesting with a lot of things, and it makes me really wish I played Chrono Trigger, because
that was my next question.
There's a lot where it's like, I feel like this is really cool. There was one piece where it's like, oh yeah, this is the iconic blah 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 that I won't say just for spoiler's sake, and I'm like, okay, like, did I miss something in the game? Like, I seriously, it's like, oh yeah, that's the central point of Chrono Trigger that shows up in da 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 da. And I'm like,
oh,
so
actually, you know what it is?
from...
I actually think I know what you're talking about. I think I actually have an idea of what it might be. There's a thing that you keep going back to, kind of like a
yeah. So once you get to like that point in the story, it's like, okay, so this is all just like Chrono Trigger 2 stuff, which I'm sure is really, really cool. Felt really cool because it made me really interested in Chrono Trigger. So I feel like it's got to serve that game very well, because it very much got me interested in that. But
did you just completely lose the plot then once that stuff started kicking in?
No, there's lots of like exposition scenes where it's just like, let me explain to you this and this. Like, there's one point where you just you sit down and it kind of explains a couple things. The story, it does get very story heavy for the last, and I played everything on like the super speed, so this isn't going to match up with like PlayStation 1 hours, but the last like 4 or 5 hours gets real like, let me explain this to you. Let me tell you how this is working. Let me explain. Here's where this came from. Here's why this happened. It's one of those games where the first probably 3/4, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I'm just going on an adventure. Nothing super serious, nothing crazy. And then the last 5 hours, like, but the world's gonna end now. Like, everything is the biggest deal ever. Because the first 15 hours is a lot of just like, oh yeah, go check out this. Like, this guy could explain to you why you're here. Maybe this guy has an idea of what's going on. But it does take some risks in there that are very interesting. There's one key scene where a major event happens to the main character that's really interesting and kind of really sets up kind of the antagonist for it. It's a very interesting game. It's a game that I can't decide if I really, really, really liked, or if it was just really, really interesting. And it does so many things that other JRPGs of like the late 90s don't do, that I think kind of deserves this spot to kind of come back and say like, hey, look at this. We did something different. Like, it may not have been appreciated at the time, but it is very cool.
This sounds like when I play like a random itch game, like an itch.io game. I'm like, I don't know if that was good, but that was just unique enough. That was just like a good, like, I don't know, just a weird thing to enjoy. Yeah, 'cause I think that's kind of cool, especially because you play so many JRPGs and like just to play something that's like totally different. Because I feel like not. I'd say now there's like been trying to do like little twists here and there, but it feels like a lot of those like tenets are pretty set up now of like what's in a JRPG, and it's kind of fun to see when that kind of like shakes it up a bit. And one that's so old, that's like interesting. It's so old, and it's kind of like we're not doing that again.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I was into a lot of JRPGs, started getting in there around then, and I just like never touched it. So it's one of those things where I think it just went under everybody's radar, and everybody's kind of like, oh yeah, it's that Chrono Trigger game that's not as good as Chrono Trigger. So
yeah, but you enjoyed your time with it. It sounds like.
Yeah, for sure. If you are interested in JRPGs, like older ones especially, I think this does a lot of cool things with the speed up button. You can get through it in about 20 hours. I think if you look on like how long to beat, I think it says 35 to 40, but that speed up button gets you there in about 20. So
sure,
a little over, which is nice. So very cool thing. If you're interested in these, I definitely think it's a good take on them to try and check something like this out. But we are Workforce Gaming. You can follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming and subscribe to us wherever you're listening.
Bye.